This title is presented to you by Soundlibra.com. For more audiobooks like this, click the link in the description or visit our website at Soundlibra.com. Conversations spark connections. Let's explore why they matter.
Welcome to the Conversation Starter. Before we jump in, a quick heads up. While we're discussing well-being and social connection, this is for educational purposes and isn't a substitute for professional mental health advice.
Great point, Lisa. At our deepest level, humans are connection-seeking beings. We thrive on interaction, on understanding and being understood. Think about it. From our earliest moments to our last, our lives are shaped by the conversations we have. They're not just about exchanging information. They're how we build relationships, share ideas, offer support, and even discover ourselves.
It's so true. Sometimes we can get caught up in the how-to of conversation, what to say, when to say it. But this episode is about the fundamental why. Why bother making an effort to go beyond the superficial?
Exactly. Meaningful conversation is the spark that ignites genuine connection. It's the difference between a fleeting encounter and a lasting bond. It transforms casual acquaintances into friends, colleagues into collaborators, and strangers into a community. These are the interactions that enrich our lives, boost our well-being, and make the world a smaller, friendlier place.
So, it's about more than just politeness or avoiding awkward silence. It's about actively creating a positive experience for both yourself and the other person.
Precisely. When we engage in meaningful conversation, we're showing respect, curiosity, and a desire to truly connect. This not only makes the other person feel valued, but also opens us up to new perspectives, learning opportunities, and even unexpected joys. Imagine a work meeting where people feel truly heard and understood. Ideas flow more freely, problem solving becomes more creative, and collaboration thrives.
And that same principle applies outside of work, doesn't it? Think about our neighborhoods. A simple chat with a neighbor can turn into a shared cup of coffee, a helping hand, or a stronger sense of community security. It's the foundation of those deeper bonds.
Absolutely. And it combats that often discussed sense of isolation we can feel even when we're surrounded by people. Intentional conversation is an antidote to loneliness. It reminds us that we're part of something larger, that we have a place, and that others are willing to share their time and thoughts with us. It's a powerful tool for personal growth, too. Every conversation is a chance to learn something new, to gain insight into a different viewpoint, or to challenge our own assumptions.
So, when we talk about meaningful exchange, what does that really look like in practice? Because it can feel a bit abstract.
That's a great question, Lisa. It means moving beyond the surface level pleasantries. It's about showing genuine interest, asking open-ended questions that invite more than a yes or no answer, and actively listening to what the other person is saying. It's also about being willing to share a bit of yourself, to be approachable and authentic. It's a two-way street, built on curiosity and respect.
So, instead of just asking, "How was your weekend?" and getting a one-word answer, we might follow up with, "Oh, that sounds interesting. What was the best part of your weekend?"
Exactly. You're signaling that you're not just going through the motions, but you genuinely want to know. And that's the spark. That's the moment where a potentially mundane interaction can become a connection. It's about creating space for vulnerability, for shared laughter, for thoughtful exchange.
And we'll be exploring all the practical ways to do this throughout the series. But for today, it's really about understanding that this ability to connect is fundamental to our human experience. It impacts our relationships, our careers, our communities, and our own personal well-being.
Precisely. Mastering the art of conversation isn't just a social skill, it's a life skill. It's the engine that drives progress, fosters understanding, and creates a more connected, empathetic world. We're setting out to empower you with the tools and understanding to turn those everyday encounters into truly meaningful exchanges, enriching your life and the lives of those around you.
It's a powerful reminder that behind every interaction is an opportunity for connection, and that's a pretty exciting prospect.
It really is. We've established that meaningful conversation is the bedrock of human connection, vital for our relationships, careers, and communities. It's about intentionality, genuine interest, and active listening. And ultimately, it's about turning those everyday moments into opportunities to build something deeper.
And we've seen that this isn't just about exchanging information, it's about fostering understanding, building empathy, and enriching our lives. This is the foundation for everything we'll be covering in the coming episodes.
Next episode, decoding the invite, reading the room and the person. Welcome back. Last time we explored why meaningful conversations are fundamental. Now let's decode the invitation.
We understand why conversations matter, but how do we know when it's the right time to start one? Some people just seem to have a knack for it.
They do. And it's not magic, it's observation. It's about developing your social radar. Think of yourself as a detective looking for signals of openness to connect.
A social radar. What kind of signals are we talking about?
It's often subtle. The first layer is reading the room. Are people in tightly closed groups, or is there a relaxed, open atmosphere? If you're at a party, are people mingling, or are individuals on the periphery looking around?
So, gauging the general vibe. If it seems very insular, maybe not the best moment to jump in.
Exactly. But even in a closed-off room, there are opportunities. Someone looking for a drink or food, that's a transitional moment. If you approach with a simple, friendly observation about the situation, it can work.
Transitional moments. Okay, so we've read the room. How do we read the person? What nonverbal cues signal openness?
Body language is key. Are they facing outward or turned inward with arms crossed tightly? An open posture, uncrossed arms, facing outwards, signals availability.
Leaning back, relaxed, making eye contact with people as they pass. That's a positive sign?
Precisely. But it's the nuances. Are they making brief eye contact with you, perhaps with a small, fleeting smile? That's an invitation, a tiny signal saying, I see you and I'm open.
I've noticed that. Catching someone's eye, sharing a quick smile, and then both going back to what we were doing. It's a little recognition.
That's a perfect example. That's the invite. They've offered a small moment of connection. You can acknowledge it with a more sustained smile, or if it feels right, a nod or a brief verbal greeting.
So, it's about being aware of these micro interactions. What about when someone isn't open? What are the signs to back off?
If someone is engrossed in a deep conversation, avoiding eye contact, or giving very short, closed-off responses, like one-word answers, those are signals they're not available. It's not a rejection, it's their current engagement.
And respecting that is key. So, reading the room tells us about the atmosphere, and reading the person is about their individual cues, body language, eye contact, facial expressions.
You've got it. Now, let's add verbal cues. Even before you initiate, you might pick up on things. Is someone nearby commenting on something or looking for help? These are also invitations.
So sometimes the invite is spoken, even if it's not directed at us. It's like an open-ended comment anyone nearby can latch onto.
Exactly. If you're at a conference and someone says, I can't believe how insightful that last speaker was, that's an invitation. Anyone in earshot could chime in.
That's a great point. It's about listening for opportunities. So, we're observing the environment, body language, facial expressions, and overheard conversations. It sounds like a lot.
It can feel like a lot at first, but it becomes intuitive with practice. Think of learning to drive. At first, you're conscious of every action. Eventually, it becomes second nature. Your social radar works the same way.
So, The goal isn't to be a human lie detector, but to become more attuned to the subtle invitations to connect.
Precisely. By learning to read these signals, you increase your chances of initiating conversations at the right moment with the right people. This prevents awkwardness and makes your approach more likely to be received warmly.
It's like knowing when the door is slightly ajar versus firmly closed. And if it's ajar, a gentle nudge is all that's needed.
A gentle nudge is the perfect metaphor. So, to recap, we've discussed reading the room atmosphere, focusing on individual body language and eye contact for openness, and listening for verbal invitation cues. These are your tools for understanding when and how to approach someone.
It really is about becoming a better observer of human interaction. The more we practice picking up on these cues, the more natural it will become.
Indeed. In our next episode, we'll take these observations and craft those all-important opening lines, moving beyond the basic hello.
So, get ready to put that social radar to work. Next episode, the gateway grabs, crafting your opening lines.
Welcome back to the Conversation Starter. Today, we're crafting your opening lines.
These are your initial grabs, the very first words that set the tone for everything that follows.
This is where so many of us feel anxiety, worrying about saying the wrong thing. But a good opening line is about being present and making a genuine connection.
We've got practical strategies to help you with this initial step. Let's dive into the art of the gateway grab.
One of the most effective ways to start a conversation is by using observational openers. This means commenting on something you both are experiencing in the present moment.
Like noticing the weather, the venue, or a shared activity. It's low stakes and creates common ground.
Precisely. If you're at an event, you could say, "This is quite a turnout, isn't it?" Or, if it's raining, "Looks like we're all in for a cozy afternoon, sheltering from the rain." It's simple, direct, and invites a response without pressure.
It shows you're paying attention to your surroundings, which is a great signal. It's like saying, I'm here, I see you, and we're sharing this space.
You've got it. Another powerful tool is employing context-based questions. This goes a step beyond a simple observation and taps into the reason you're both there. If you're at a conference, ask, "What did you think of that last speaker's point on user engagement?"
That's great because it's specific to the event. It shows you're engaged with the purpose of being there and interested in their perspective on something relevant.
And it's much more engaging than a generic "How are you?" If you're at a gallery opening, a context-based question could be, "Which piece here is speaking to you the most?" Or, at a party, "How do you know the host?" These questions encourage more than a one-word answer.
So, we've got observational openers for shared experiences and context-based questions for drawing on the situation. What else can we use to grab attention positively?
The power of a genuine compliment. This can be incredibly effective, but it needs to be sincere and specific. Avoid generic flattery. Notice something you genuinely appreciate. Perhaps it's someone's interesting accessory, a thoughtful comment they made, or their positive energy.
So, instead of nice shirt, it would be I love the pattern on your scarf. It's really striking. Or that was a really insightful question you asked earlier about market trends.
Exactly. By being specific, you show you've paid attention. It's not just a throwaway line. It's a moment of genuine observation. The key here is sincerity. People can usually sense when a compliment isn't heartfelt.
That makes sense. A thoughtful, genuine compliment feels personal and can really open someone up. It shows you see them as an individual.
Absolutely. Now, sometimes the easiest openings are simply asking for a small favor or offering one,
Oh, like asking for directions or the time.
right? Or asking someone to hold something for you for a moment. It creates an immediate, brief interaction. However, use this sparingly, as it can feel a bit transactional if overused. A better version of this is offering a slight, helpful gesture.
Can you give us an example?
In a social setting, if you see someone struggling to balance a plate and a drink, you could offer, "Can I grab that for you for a second?" Or, if someone's fumbling with a door, you could hold it open for them. These small acts of helpfulness are natural conversation starters.
That's brilliant. It's a way of initiating contact by being helpful, which feels very organic and positive.
It shifts the dynamic from initiating a conversation to offering assistance. And often, that act of kindness leads to a natural follow-up. "Thanks so much," you might hear, and then you can respond with a simple observation like, "No problem, glad I could help. Are you enjoying the event?"
So, we've explored observational openers for shared moments, context-based questions to tap into the situation, genuine compliments to show appreciation, and even small acts of helpfulness. It seems like the common thread is always sincerity and paying attention.
Exactly, Lisa. It's about looking outward, not inward. Instead of focusing on your own nervousness, focus on the environment, the person, or the situation. What can you genuinely notice or ask about? What can you offer?
It really boils down to being present and showing authentic interest. It's not about having a perfect, rehearsed line, but about being ready to engage with whatever is happening around you.
And remember, the goal of the opening line isn't to have a long, deep conversation instantly. It's simply to break the ice, to create a small connection, and to open the door for further interaction. Think of it as the handshake of conversation.
A handshake that's firm, genuine, and inviting. I like that analogy. So, observational openers, context cues, sincere compliments, and helpful gestures are our go-to strategies.
Indeed, these are your gateway grabs, your tools for starting conversations effectively and making that crucial first impression. They're designed to feel natural and approachable.
It's reassuring to know there are concrete ways to approach that initial moment of connection. It makes it feel much less daunting.
And the more you practice these, the more natural they become. You'll find yourself observing more, noticing more, and feeling more confident about initiating.
So, next time you're in a situation where you'd like to strike up a conversation, try one of these gateway grabs. Look around, listen, and be ready to engage.
That's the spirit. Next episode, we'll move beyond these opening lines and explore how to elevate small talk, turning those initial moments into more engaging exchanges. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Conversation Starter. Last time, we learned how to craft those attention-grabbing opening lines. Now, let's elevate those initial small talk exchanges.
Exactly, Alex. Because, let's be honest, most initial conversations can feel a little beige. We're talking about those moments where you bump into someone you've said hello, and now you're both just kind of orbiting in polite silence. How do we inject some color into that?
Great question, Lisa. The key is shifting from closed questions that elicit a one-word answer to open-ended questions that invite narrative. If you ask, "Did you have a good weekend?" you might get a, "Yeah, it was fine." But if you ask, "What was the highlight of your weekend?" suddenly you're opening the door for them to share something interesting.
Oh, I love that. What was the highlight? That puts the focus on something positive and specific. It's like asking for a mini story instead of just a status update.
Precisely. And this principle applies everywhere. A networking event, instead of asking, "What do you do?" which can feel like an interrogation, try something like, "What's the most interesting project you've worked on recently?" Or, "What got you into this field in the first place?"
That's brilliant. It digs a little deeper and shows you're genuinely curious about their journey, not just their job title. It invites them to share their passion.
It absolutely does. And remember, the goal of small talk isn't just to fill silence. It's to find common ground. These slightly more insightful questions are fantastic for uncovering shared interests or experiences. Someone might mention a recent trip, and you discover you've both visited the same city Or they might talk about a book they're reading, and you find out you're both fans of the same author.
Finding that common thread is so powerful for making a connection, isn't it? It transforms stranger into acquaintance, or at least person who is slightly interesting into person who is definitely worth talking to.
It's the foundation for building rapport. Another effective technique is to offer a brief, relevant observation or personal snippet before asking a question. It makes the interaction feel more reciprocal. Instead of just launching a question at them, you're sharing a little of yourself first.
So, it's not just an interrogation, it's a mini dialogue from the start. Can you give us an example?
Sure, imagine you're at a coffee shop and you notice someone has a book by an author you enjoy. You can start by saying, "Oh, I love that author. Have you read their latest book?" Or if you're at a community event and you see someone participating enthusiastically in an activity, you could say, "You're really getting into that. It looks like a lot of fun. What do you enjoy most about it?"
That makes it feel much less like you're probing and more like you're genuinely engaging with something you've both encountered. It's observational and inviting. I also think it's important to genuinely listen to the answers, right? We often hear but don't truly listen.
Absolutely. Active listening is paramount. When they answer your elevated question, pay attention not just to the words, but to the enthusiasm, the tone, the details they volunteer. This gives you material for follow-up questions. If they mention a hobby, ask about how they got started, what they love about it, or what a typical session might look like for that hobby.
So, it's a dance. You ask an open-ended question, they share, you listen, and then you use what you heard to ask another slightly deeper question. It's progressive engagement.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to share a little about yourself in return. If they mention a challenge they overcame with a project, you might say, "That reminds me of a time I faced something similar when I was working on." This creates that sense of shared vulnerability and experience.
It's not about one-upping, but about showing you're on the same wavelength. It's about reciprocity, not competition.
Precisely. And sometimes just being present and showing genuine interest is enough. We're talking about shifting the focus from generic pleasantries to genuine curiosity. This might mean asking about their thoughts on a current event, a local happening, or even something lighthearted like their favorite thing about the current season.
So, to recap what we've discussed for elevating small talk, move beyond closed-ended questions with one-word answers. Instead, use open-ended questions that invite explanations and stories. Look for opportunities to find common ground. And remember to be a good listener, using their answers as springboards for further, related questions.
You've got it. And don't forget that personal touch. Sharing a brief, relevant observation or personal experience can make the conversation feel more balanced and less like an interview. The goal is to turn a generic interaction into a mini connection, a moment where both people feel seen and heard.
It's about being intentional with our words and our engagement. We want to leave people feeling a little more interesting and ourselves feeling a little more connected, even after a brief encounter. It's surprising how much mileage you can get out of just a few well-chosen, open-ended questions.
It truly is. We're building the bridge from acquaintanceship to potential deeper connection, one engaging question at a time. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Conversation Starter. Today, we're diving deep into active listening.
That's right, Alex. True connection happens when you're fully present and truly listening to the other person. There's a huge difference between simply hearing words and actively listening to understand.
Hearing is passive. It's just the physical act of sound waves hitting your ears. Listening, on the other hand, is an active process. It involves paying attention, processing the information, and showing that you're engaged.
So, how do we make that shift from just hearing to active listening? What are some practical steps we can take?
A great starting point is to eliminate distractions. This means putting away your phone, making eye contact, and turning your body towards a speaker. It sends a powerful message that they have your undivided attention.
That makes sense. It's so easy to get caught up in checking notifications or looking around the room, but that completely breaks the connection. So, after we've eliminated distractions, what's next?
The next step is to really focus on what the speaker is saying, both with their words and their body language. We need to observe their tone of voice, their facial expressions, and their gestures. Sometimes what they aren't saying is just as important as what they are saying.
So, it's about being observant and picking up on those subtle cues. What if we're not sure we've understood something correctly?
That's where clarification comes in. Don't be afraid to ask questions to ensure you've grasped their meaning. You can paraphrase what you've heard to confirm. For example, you might say, "So, if I'm understanding correctly, you're feeling frustrated because the project deadline was moved up?" This shows you've been listening and are trying to understand their perspective.
That's a fantastic technique. It not only checks your understanding, but also validates their feelings and shows you're genuinely invested in what they're sharing.
Exactly. And another key element is to offer verbal and nonverbal encouragers. These are simple things like nodding, saying uh-huh or I see, along with brief, positive affirmations. They signal to the speaker that you're following along and encourage them to continue.
These are the little acknowledgments that keep the flow going. Sometimes people just need to feel heard.
Precisely. And we also need to practice empathy. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes. What might they be feeling? What are their motivations? Responding with empathy, even if you don't agree with their viewpoint, can foster a much deeper connection.
Empathy is such a powerful bridge. It moves the conversation beyond just exchanging information to a place of shared understanding and feeling. So, to recap the practical tips, we need to eliminate distractions, focus on both verbal and nonverbal cues, ask clarifying questions, paraphrase, use verbal and nonverbal encouragers, and practice empathy.
That's a great summary, Lisa. And remember what we talked about in earlier episodes? The curiosity compass? Active listening fuels that curiosity. When you're truly listening, you're more likely to discover new information or perspectives that spark genuine interest and lead to more profound questions.
It's all interconnected, isn't it? The skills we're learning build on each other. Active listening makes us more curious, and that curiosity drives us to listen even better.
Absolutely. Now, what about withholding judgment? This is a big one. It's very tempting to jump in with our own opinions or solutions before the other person has even finished speaking. But active listening requires us to suspend our own judgments and biases. We need to let the speaker express themselves fully.
That can be hard, especially if we hear something we strongly disagree with. It takes a lot of self-control.
It truly does. But if our goal is understanding, then withholding judgment is essential. Once they've finished and you fully grasp their message, then you can offer your perspective, if appropriate. This is where we start transitioning from purely listening to contributing to the conversation in a meaningful way.
So, it's like creating a safe space for the other person to share, without feeling like they're going to be immediately critiqued or debated.
Exactly. And this leads us to the subtle art of silence. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do in a conversation is to simply be quiet. Give the speaker time to gather their thoughts or to fill the space with more information. Awkward silences are often perceived as negative, but in active listening, a pause can be a precious moment of reflection for both parties.
That's a great reminder. We often feel compelled to fill every silence, but sometimes just letting it be can allow for deeper insights to emerge.
Indeed, it's about being comfortable with stillness. Remember, we're aiming for understanding and connection, not just a rapid-fire exchange of words. Active listening is a continuous practice. The more you consciously employ these techniques, the more natural they become. You'll find yourself not only understanding others better, but also enjoying conversations on a much deeper level.
It's truly transformational. It moves us from superficial interactions to building real rapport and trust. So, we've covered how to be present, how to understand both spoken and unspoken messages, the importance of clarifying and empathizing, and the power of withholding judgment and embracing silence. These are such valuable tools for anyone looking to improve their conversational skills.
They really are the bedrock of meaningful exchange. When you demonstrate that you are truly listening, people feel valued and respected. This makes them more open to sharing and more likely to listen to you in return. It's a reciprocal process that strengthens bonds.
So, to wrap up today's episode, active listening isn't just a technique, it's a mindset. It's about shifting your focus from yourself to the person you're engaging with and truly seeking to understand their world.
And that understanding is the key to unlocking deeper conversations. We'll explore how to use that genuine interest we've cultivated to transition from small talk to more substantive topics. Next episode, Unlocking Depth, transitioning from small talk to substance. Welcome back. Last time we covered active listening. Now let's tackle the curiosity compass.
That's right, Alex. If active listening is about how we tune in, then genuine curiosity is about why. It's that innate desire to understand, to learn, and to connect with another person on a deeper level. You can't fake it, and when it's real, it's incredibly powerful.
Exactly, Lisa. And the beauty of genuine curiosity is that it's a two-way street. When you show authentic interest in someone else, they naturally feel more engaged and are more likely to be interested in you. It's like a positive feedback loop for connection. Think of it as a compass guiding you towards understanding.
So, how do we actually cultivate this curiosity? It sounds simple, but in our busy lives, it's easy to get caught in our own heads.
A great starting point is to consciously shift your focus. Instead of thinking about what you want to say next or what you're going to do after this conversation, genuinely ask yourself, what I want to learn about this person or what's interesting about their perspective. It's about making a conscious decision to be interested.
That's a really good point. It requires a little mindfulness, doesn't it? To actively choose to be present and engaged with the other person.
Absolutely. And once you've made that internal shift, the next step is to express that curiosity through your questions. We talked a bit about questions in previous episodes, but here we're talking about questions that go beyond the surface. Instead of asking, "How was your weekend?" try something like, "What was the most unexpected thing that happened this weekend?"
Oh, I like that. It invites a story, rather than a simple yes or no answer. It immediately signals that you're looking for more than just the standard response.
Precisely. Or consider this. Instead of asking, "Do you like your job?" you might ask, "What's the most rewarding part of what you do?" or "What initially drew you to this field?" These kinds of questions show you're interested in their journey, their motivations, and their passions. They show you care about their experience.
And when you ask those kinds of questions, what's the key to making it feel genuine, rather than like an interrogation?
It comes down to your demeanor and your follow-up. Your verbal and nonverbal cues matter immensely. Lean in slightly. Maintain eye contact, not in a staring way, but in an open, engaged way, and nod to show you're processing what they're saying. When they answer, listen intently. Don't interrupt, and then build on their response.
The follow-up. So, if someone tells you about a challenging project at work, instead of just saying, "Oh, that sounds tough," you might say, "That sounds like it required a lot of problem solving. What was the key to overcoming that hurdle?"
Exactly. You're acknowledging their experience and then asking a question that invites them to share more detail, showing you're not just passively listening, but actively engaged with their narrative. You're asking them to elaborate on how and why. This is where curiosity truly fuels deeper conversation.
It's like you're becoming a detective of their inner world, but in a kind and respectful way. And I imagine this also helps us avoid common pitfalls, like assuming we know what someone is thinking or feeling.
Spot on, Lisa. Genuine curiosity is the antidote to assumptions. It reminds us that everyone has a unique perspective, a rich history, and experiences that shape them. Even if you think you know someone well, there's always more to discover. Imagine you're exploring a fascinating new city. You wouldn't just skim the surface, you'd wander down different streets, peek into shops, and talk to locals to truly understand the place. Curiosity is your map and your guide for navigating the landscape of another person.
That's a wonderful analogy. And it makes sense that after focusing on active listening in our last episode, we're now talking about the active drive behind that listening, the curiosity. They really do go hand in hand. You listen more deeply because you're genuinely curious, and your listening fuels further curiosity.
Precisely. It's a synergy. And here's a practical tip. Try to practice this on smaller scales. The next time you're in a casual interaction, perhaps with a barista, a cashier, or a neighbor you see regularly, try asking a slightly more open-ended or specific question than usual. Notice the shift in their response. It can be incredibly rewarding.
So, to recap the core ideas of the curiosity compass, what would you highlight, Alex?
I'd emphasize three main points. First, make a conscious internal shift to want to learn about the other person. Second, craft your questions to invite more than just superficial answers, focusing on their experiences, motivations, and feelings. And third, demonstrate your genuine interest through attentive nonverbals and thoughtful follow-up questions that build on their responses.
Excellent. Cultivating genuine curiosity is about more than just making small talk. It's about fostering connection. It's about seeing each conversation as an opportunity to discover something new and valuable about another human being.
And that, Lisa, is the real magic of conversation. It opens doors, broadens horizons, and reminds us of the incredible depth and diversity of human experience.
When we lead with curiosity, we not only learn more about others, but we often learn more about ourselves too. It's a win-win.
So, as you go out and engage in conversations this week, let your curiosity compass be your guide. Don't just ask questions, seek understanding. Don't just listen, strive to truly know.
It's about being a student of humanity, one conversation at a time.
Well said. And next time, we'll build on this foundation of genuine interest. We'll explore how to smoothly transition from that engaging small talk we've been discussing into more meaningful and substantive exchanges.
We'll be unlocking the doors to deeper conversations.
Indeed. Until then, keep those questions flowing and that curiosity burning bright. Next episode, Unlocking Depth, transitioning from small talk to substance. Welcome back. Last time, we explored how to fuel genuine interest by listening and being curious. Today, we're unlocking depth.
We're diving into how to gracefully transition from small talk to more substantive, meaningful conversations. It's about connecting on that deeper level.
It all starts with recognizing the signals. Remember active listening? You're listening for themes, interests, and breadcrumbs that hint at what someone truly cares about.
So, it's about spotting opportunities. If someone mentions a hiking trip, that's a cue to ask more than just, oh, nice.
Exactly. You're listening for the why behind the what. If they mention a hobby, ask what got them interested or what they enjoy most. For example, if they love gardening, ask what inspired you to start or what's your favorite thing to grow and why. This moves it from a one-word answer to a potential story.
That makes sense. Instead of just saying, I like to paint, they might explain why art is their escape or what they find rewarding about it. That feels much more personal.
Precisely. And to facilitate this, use what I call the curiosity bridge. Connect what they're talking about to something relatable in your own experience, but invite them to share more. If they mention a challenging work project, you could say, that sounds like it really tested your problem-solving skills. I remember a time in my old role where we faced a similar hurdle. What was the most unexpected part of tackling your project?
Ah, I see. You share a personal experience, but the focus quickly pivots back to them, inviting their specific insights. It shows you've been listening and are genuinely interested.
That's the golden rule. Share enough to build rapport, but always guide the conversation back. And it doesn't always have to be about challenges. If someone mentions a place they'd love to travel to, ask, what is it about that place that captures your imagination? Or what do you hope to experience there?
I've noticed when people talk about their passions, their whole demeanor changes. It's like a light turns on.
Absolutely. And this is where active listening and curiosity shine. You're discovering a piece of their inner world. To make this transition smoother, think about open-ended questions. These invite explanation and elaboration.
Like what? How? Why? And tell me about questions, right?
Exactly. Weave in relatable personal anecdotes. When it feels natural, share a brief, relevant personal story that connects to what they've said. This makes you more human. For instance, if they're discussing a book they loved, you might say, that reminds me of a book I read last year that had a similar profound impact on me. It was called, and then briefly explain why it affected you, prompting them to share more.
So it's about creating a safe space for vulnerability, but in a gradual, comfortable way. You're creating an environment where deeper conversations can naturally emerge.
Precisely. You're nurturing the conversation. And remember, this transition isn't a one-time event. It's a series of small steps. You might go from small talk about the weather to their weekend plans to what they enjoy doing in their free time, then to a specific passion related to that activity. And before you know it, you're discussing what truly motivates them.
It's like building a bridge piece by piece. And the foundation is always genuine interest, powered by active listening and authentic curiosity.
You've got it. Always be prepared to steer the conversation towards more meaningful topics by listening for opportunities and using your curiosity. And when you do delve deeper, focus on making the other person feel heard and valued. Ask follow-up questions that show you're processing what they're sharing. So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that X led to Y because of Z?
That's a great way to clarify and show you're engaged. It's like saying, I want to make sure I've got it right.
Indeed. And for those times when you're unsure how to deepen a conversation, think about broader human experiences, aspiration for the future, lessons learned from past experiences, or things people are passionate about. These are common threads that connect us all.
So, to recap, transitioning from small talk to substance is about being observant, using open-ended questions, sharing relatable anecdotes to build rapport, and always circling back to the other person's perspective. It's about a natural, flowing exploration.
And it all stems from what we've already covered. The active listening that helps you hear opportunities and the curiosity that drives you to explore them. By combining these, you can move beyond surface level chat and create truly meaningful exchanges.
It's about making every conversation an opportunity for a richer connection.
Exactly. Next episode, we'll explore navigating nuance and understanding different cultural communication styles. Welcome back. Last time we covered transitioning from small talk to deeper conversations.
We learned that moving beyond surface level chat is about showing authentic interest and creating a space for others to open up.
And today, we're diving into navigating nuance and understanding cultural communication.
It's so easy to assume everyone communicates like we do, but that's rarely the case. What are some key differences?
One of the biggest areas is directness versus indirectness. Some cultures are very direct. They say what they mean.
So, if someone says no, they really mean no.
Exactly. Many cultures, like in East Asia or Latin America, are more indirect. The message is conveyed through context, tone, and what's not said. Yes might mean, I hear you, not a firm commitment.
If you're in a direct culture and someone's indirect, you might miss the message. If you're indirect and someone's direct, you might seem rude.
Precisely. Another area is personal space. What's comfortable varies wildly.
I remember a meeting where someone stood too close, and I instinctively backed away. It was awkward.
That's a perfect example. In some cultures, standing close is warmth. In others, it feels intrusive.
So, it's good to be observant and perhaps mirror their comfort level.
That's a great strategy. Pay attention to their body language. Another factor is eye contact. In many Western cultures, it signals honesty. Avoiding it can seem dishonest.
But I've heard that in some cultures, prolonged eye contact with elders or superiors is seen as disrespectful.
You're right. In many Asian and African cultures, looking down is a sign of respect. That direct gaze sends different signals.
This really emphasizes curiosity and not making assumptions. It's not just the words, but the whole framework.
Exactly. That framework includes how silence is perceived. Some cultures fill silence quickly, others are comfortable with it.
I can relate to wanting to fill a silence. It can feel like the conversation has stalled.
But in other cultures, silence is a sign of contemplation or respect. Rushing to fill it can interrupt thought.
So, instead of panicking about silence, we could see it as a moment for reflection.
Indeed. In gestures, a thumbs up can be positive in one culture, offensive in another.
It's like a secret language.
It really is. Understanding this isn't about memorizing every cultural rule. It's about a mindset of awareness and willingness to learn.
So, how do we apply this practically?
Start with humility. Assume you don't know everything. Be open to different communication styles. Practice active listening with cultural awareness. Pay attention to context, tone, and nonverbals.
And if we make a mistake,
Grace. A sincere apology goes a long way. Most people are understanding if they see you're trying. Asking clarifying questions is also helpful. You can say, "Could you help me understand that better?"
that sounds like a great way to use curiosity to bridge cultural divides.
Absolutely. Showing genuine interest in understanding someone's perspective, including their cultural lens, builds a stronger foundation for connection.
So, to recap, communication styles vary across cultures in directness, personal space, eye contact, silence, and gestures. The key is humility, observation, active listening, and a willingness to learn.
That's a perfect summary. By being mindful of cultural nuances, we avoid misunderstandings and foster deeper connections.
It really does make the world feel more connected when we can communicate effectively across these differences.
It certainly does. Next episode, we'll focus on mastering nonverbal communication. Welcome back. Today, we're exploring the power of presence and nonverbal communication.
It's amazing how much we communicate without words. We're talking about body language, tone of voice, and eye contact. These silent cues can powerfully shape how people perceive us and how we connect. It ties into our earlier discussion about reading the room, where nonverbal signals are a huge part of understanding others.
Exactly. Have you ever met someone and just felt a sense of warmth? Or, conversely, someone who seemed closed off? That's the power of presence. Nonverbal communication can either amplify your words or completely undermine them.
It can be so subtle. So, Alex, where do we begin with mastering this silent language?
Let's start with posture and body language. How we hold ourselves sends a strong signal. Standing tall, with shoulders back, projects confidence and engagement. It's like a well-displayed product, appearing more appealing and trustworthy. Slumping or crossing your arms can signal disinterest or defensiveness.
So, standing up straight can make a big difference in appearing open and approachable?
Precisely. Open posture is key. This means uncrossed arms and legs and orienting your body towards the person you're speaking with. It shows you're giving them your full attention. Imagine your body reaching towards the other person in a friendly way.
That's a great visual. And what about eye contact? It can be tricky to get right.
The sweet spot for eye contact is crucial. Aim for regular, comfortable connections about 60 to 70% of the time, breaking away naturally. This shows you're listening, interested, and genuine. It's like a reassuring nod, but with your eyes, creating a genuine connection.
So it's about striking a balance between too much and too little eye contact. What else plays a role?
Facial expressions are powerful. A genuine smile can instantly put someone at ease and signal friendliness. It's a universal sign for, I'm friendly, let's connect, like a warm greeting from your face.
A warm smile can disarm tension. What else falls under presence?
Tone of voice. The pace, pitch, and volume convey meaning. A warm, confident tone is inviting. A rushed, monotone, or overly loud voice can be off-putting. Your tone should be like a gentle stream, flowing and pleasant, not a jarring alarm.
So even if our words say one thing, our tone could broadcast something else entirely. Are there common pitfalls to watch out for?
Absolutely. Closed-off body language, like crossed arms and looking down, is a common pitfall. Another is the opposite extreme, too much fidgeting or aggressive eye contact. It's about finding that comfortable, confident middle ground. Your nonverbal cues should support your message, not distract from it.
It sounds like it all comes down to projecting authenticity and approachability. If you're genuinely interested, your nonverbal cues will likely reflect that positively.
That's the core of it. Authenticity is your best tool. When you're truly present and engaged, your body language, eye contact, and tone of voice will naturally align to communicate openness and interest. It's about embodying genuine connection, not performing gestures.
So, to recap this part of our discussion on the power of presence, we've covered posture and open body language for confidence and approachability. We've discussed balanced eye contact for engagement and sincerity. And we've touched upon facial expressions, especially a genuine smile, and the nuance of tone of voice to convey warmth and confidence.
That's a perfect summary. Mastering these nonverbal elements makes you a more effective communicator overall, building trust and rapport from the very first moment. These skills are foundational for really connecting with people.
It really emphasizes that communication is so much more than just the words we choose. It's the whole package.
Exactly. The more aware you are of your own nonverbal signals and those of others, the better you'll be at enriching your interactions. It's a subtle but incredibly powerful art.
This has been so insightful, Alex. It's given me a lot to think about.
And for our listeners too, it's about being mindful and present in every interaction. Remember the core idea: your presence speaks volumes. Project confidence through your posture, engage with balanced eye contact, and use a warm, inviting tone. These elements, combined with a genuine smile, create an immediate connection.
It's the silent handshake, the unspoken welcome. It truly enhances everything we say.
It does. And next time, we'll bring these skills into the workplace, discussing how to build strong professional connections.
Join us for episode 10, Building Bridges at Work, Professional Connection Strategies.
Welcome back. Last time we mastered nonverbal communication. Now, let's build bridges at work.
That's right, Alex. In episode 10, we're focusing on building bridges at work. This is where fostering good relationships can make a huge difference in our daily lives, our teamwork, and even our career growth. So, how do we take those general connection skills and make them work in a professional setting?
It's all about adapting, Lisa. The core principles of genuine interest, and clear communication remain the same, but the context and goals might shift slightly. Think about it. At work, we're often interacting with people we see regularly, and the aim is to build trust, encourage collaboration, and create a more positive environment.
So it's less about a deep, personal revelation and more about building a solid, reliable rapport. How do we initiate that? Especially if you're in a new role or working with people you don't know well yet.
Great question. Let's start with colleagues at your level. Instead of the generic, "How was your weekend?" try something a bit more specific, but still light. You could notice a shared experience like, "How did you find that team meeting this morning? I had a couple of thoughts on a project timeline." Or if you know they have a particular interest, you might say, "Hey, I heard you're a big fan of author slash band. Have you read their latest book slash heard their new song yet?" It shows you're observant and have paid attention.
That's a good way to show you're engaged with their interests, not just making small talk. It opens the door for them to share something too. What about interacting with superiors or managers? That can feel a little more daunting for some.
Absolutely. With managers, the key is to demonstrate initiative and a commitment to your work while still being approachable. Instead of waiting for them to come to you with every question, think about proactively sharing a brief update on a project you're working on, especially if you made a good breakthrough. You could approach them and say, "Hi, manager's name. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up. I've managed to resolve that issue with this specific task. I also had a thought about how we could streamline the process going forward. Would you have a moment later this week to discuss it?"
By offering a solution and suggesting a dedicated time to discuss, you're showing you're not just bringing problems, but solutions, and you respect their time. You're also inviting them into a collaborative problem-solving process.
Exactly. And it's an opportunity to practice those active listening skills we discussed earlier. When they respond, really listen to their feedback or further suggestions. Then there's clients. Building rapport with clients is crucial for long-term partnerships.
Clients are the lifeblood of many businesses, so this is definitely important. How do we approach that, especially when there might be a formal or transactional element to the relationship?
With clients, it's about demonstrating your understanding of their needs and showing you're invested in their success. Before a meeting, do your homework. Research their company, their industry, and any recent news. When you connect, you can start by referencing that. For example, "Good morning, client name. I saw the recent announcement about your company's expansion into new market. Congratulations. I was curious to learn if that's impacting any of your current service slash product needs that we might be able to support."
That's brilliant. It shows you're not just focused on selling, but on being a strategic partner. You're connecting your offering to their business goals.
Precisely. And remember the power of presence and nonverbal communication we covered? Maintaining good eye contact, having open body language, and offering a genuine smile can go a long way in making clients feel comfortable and valued. Even as simple, "It's good to see you again," can make a difference.
So, we've talked about colleagues, managers, and clients. Are there any other general strategies that apply across the board in the workplace, perhaps for networking or moving up?
Definitely. Networking, whether it's at a company event or a professional conference, is all about making those initial positive connections. Think about having a few conversational anchors ready. These are interesting, work-related topics that you can comfortably discuss. It could be a trend in your industry, a recent innovation, or even a challenge you're all facing. For example, I've been really fascinated by the rise of new technology in our field. Have you encountered any interesting applications of it in your work?
Those anchors sound like conversation starters that are tailored for the professional world. They show you're informed and engaged with your industry. It's not just about asking questions, but about contributing something to the conversation.
Exactly. And remember, the goal is to build trust and demonstrate competence. When you're discussing projects or ideas, be clear and concise. Avoid jargon where possible, or explain it briefly if it's necessary. This ensures everyone is on the same page. Think of it as translating complex concepts into plain English, which we've been practicing throughout this series.
So for colleagues, it's about shared experiences and interests. For managers, it's about proactive updates and demonstrating initiative. For clients, it's about understanding their business and offering partnership. And for networking, it's about having prepared conversation anchors. These are all great takeaways for applying conversation skills in a professional context.
And the underlying principle for all of these is genuine curiosity. Even in a professional setting, if you approach interactions with a desire to understand and connect, it will show. People respond positively when they feel heard and valued, whether it's your coworker or your CEO.
It's about seeing your workplace as a community and applying the same empathy and interest you might elsewhere. Even small gestures, like remembering a colleague's project and asking for an update or acknowledging a client's success, can foster a more positive and productive atmosphere.
Building those professional bridges makes work more enjoyable and can open doors to new opportunities. It's a skill that benefits everyone involved.
We've covered a lot today, Alex. From initiating conversations with colleagues to strategizing with managers and building strong client relationships, the office environment is rich with opportunities for meaningful connection. By adapting the principles we've learned, we can turn professional interactions into valuable exchanges.
Next episode, we'll tackle the common anxieties that can hold us back from connecting and explore strategies to overcome them. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to the Conversation Starter. Last time, we explored creating powerful connections in the workplace. Today, we're turning our attention to a different, yet equally important sphere, our neighborhoods and communities.
That's right, Alex. We spend so much time focused on professional or even our closest personal relationships, but sometimes the people living right next door or the folks we see at the local park can feel like strangers. And that's a missed opportunity for richer, more connected lives. So, how do we start building those local bonds?
Great question, Lisa. It often begins with a simple shift in mindset. Instead of seeing our neighbors as just individuals occupying adjacent spaces, we can start to view them as fellow members of a shared community, people who might have shared interests or even shared needs. The first step is simply to be open and approachable.
Open and approachable. That sounds straightforward, but what does that look like in practice? Do I need to suddenly become the block party organizer?
Not necessarily. It could be as simple as a friendly wave or a smile when you see someone, whether you're getting your mail or walking your dog. It's about acknowledging their presence in a positive way. Then look for natural opportunities. When you're taking out the trash and a neighbor is doing the same, that's a perfect moment for a brief chat.
The classic trash can encounter. I can see that. So, it's about utilizing those in between moments where you're both in the same place. What kind of things can we talk about in those brief exchanges?
Keep it light and observational. You can comment on the weather, ask about their weekend, or even remark on something happening in the neighborhood. For instance, lovely day today, isn't it? Or did you happen to see the new flowers they planted at the park? These are low stakes openers that invite a response without pressure.
So, we're not diving into deep personal stories right away. It's about building a foundation of pleasant interactions. What if the opportunity arises to talk to someone new, maybe someone who just moved in?
That's a fantastic chance to be truly welcoming. A simple welcome to the neighborhood can go a long way. You can offer a little information about the local area, like mentioning a great coffee shop or a popular park. You could even say something like, if you have any questions about the area as you settle in, feel free to ask. It shows you're a friendly resource.
That's really thoughtful. It makes people feel less isolated when they're in a new environment. Beyond those casual encounters, are there ways to foster deeper connections at local events or gatherings?
Absolutely. Local events, whether it's a farmer's market, a community cleanup day, or even a school fair, are gold mines for connection. The key here is to be an active participant. Don't just stand on the sidelines. If there's a shared activity, join in. This gives you a natural talking point and a common goal.
So, By doing something together, even something small, you create an immediate point of shared experience. For instance, if it's a community garden event, you could talk about the plants or ask for gardening tips.
Exactly. And this is where your active listening and curiosity skills, which we discussed in earlier episodes, come into play. Ask open-ended questions based on the situation. Instead of just nice day, try what brought you to the farmer's market today, or have you tried any of these vendors before? That's how you move from superficial chat to genuine interest.
And it's about remembering those details, right? If someone mentions they're looking for a good local bookstore and you later come across one, you can follow up.
Yes, that recall builds trust and shows you value the conversation and the person. It's like planting seeds. Small interactions, regular check-ins, remembering details. These all contribute to nurturing a sense of belonging. This is especially important in our own neighborhoods because these are the people you'll see day in and day out. Fostering these bonds can lead to a stronger, safer, and more supportive community for everyone.
It really does. Think about it. If you know your neighbors, you're more likely to look out for each other, share resources, or even just have someone to chat with when you step outside. It transforms a collection of houses into a true community. So, to recap, it starts with simple openness and approachability, like a friendly wave or a brief chat during everyday moments.
Then we look for opportunities to engage, especially with newcomers. And at local events, we become active participants, using our curiosity and listening skills to deepen those conversations. It's about consistent, genuine effort to connect.
And all these small efforts, when multiplied across a neighborhood, create a powerful ripple effect, fostering a sense of unity and shared identity. It's amazing how much difference a little intentionality can make.
It truly is. These local connections enrich our daily lives in countless ways, offering support, shared experiences, and a feeling of belonging. Next episode, Taming the Anxiety Monster, Conquering Conversation Fears. Welcome back to the Conversation Starter. We've journeyed through the art of connection, from opening lines to deep listening and building rapport in various settings. Today, we're tackling a beast that holds so many of us back: conversation anxiety.
It's true, Alex. That knot in your stomach, the racing thoughts, the fear of saying the wrong thing, it's something so many people experience. It can feel overwhelming, making even simple interactions seem like insurmountable challenges.
Absolutely. And it's important to recognize that conversation anxiety is incredibly common. You're not alone if you feel this way. Think of it as a natural, though often unhelpful, alarm system in our brains, telling us there might be a social threat. The good news is we can learn to manage this alarm system.
So, how do we start to tame this anxiety monster? What's our first step?
The first fundamental step is awareness and acceptance. Acknowledge that the anxiety is there without judgment. Instead of fighting it, observe it. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What do I feel in my body? What specific thoughts are running through my mind? This simple act of noticing can begin to reduce its power.
Okay, so instead of saying, I can't do this, I try to notice, I'm feeling anxious right now. That already sounds less defeating.
Exactly. And then we challenge those anxious thoughts. Often, our anxious thoughts are distortions of reality. They tend to be predictions of the worst case scenario, which rarely, if ever, come true. We might think, everyone will think I'm boring or I'll have nothing to say.
And that's where all the skills we've learned in previous episodes come in, right? If I worry I'll have nothing to say, I can remember our drills on asking open-ended questions.
Precisely. You're already connecting the dots. When you feel that worry creep in, pause and reframe it. Instead of I'll have nothing to say, try thinking I have tools like active listening and curiosity to guide me, and I can ask engaging questions. It's about shifting from a fear-based mindset to a skill-based one. Remember the tips on asking great questions? We can use those to keep the conversation flowing naturally.
That's such a powerful reframing. So, awareness, then challenging those negative thought patterns. What else can we do in the moment when anxiety strikes?
Deep breathing is a classic for a reason. When we're anxious, our breathing becomes shallow and rapid, triggering our fight or flight response. Slow, deep breaths signal to our nervous system that we are safe. Try inhaling slowly through your nose for a count of 4, holding for a moment, and exhaling slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. Doing this for even a minute can make a huge difference.
Inhaling for 4, holding, and exhaling for 6. That sounds manageable, even in a slightly awkward social situation. It's a physical anchor to calm.
It really is. Another strategy is to focus on the other person, not on your own internal monologue of worry. When you're truly listening, your focus shifts away from your anxiety. Pay attention to their words, their tone, their body language. Ask follow-up questions about what they're saying. This not only makes them feel heard, but also takes your mind off your own worries.
It's like that idea of shifting your internal spotlight outwards. Instead of spotlighting my anxiety, I shine it on the person I'm talking to.
Exactly. And speaking of spotlights, practicing in low-stakes environments is crucial. Don't wait for that big networking event to try out these techniques. Practice with your barista, the cashier at the grocery store, or a friendly neighbor. These brief, informal interactions are perfect training grounds. They help build your confidence muscle without the pressure of high expectations.
So, essentially, we're desensitizing ourselves to the feeling of social interaction by starting small. It's like a conversation workout.
A conversation workout. I love that. And remember that progress isn't linear. Some days will be easier than others. If you have a conversation that doesn't go as planned, don't beat yourself up. Instead, reflect on what you can learn from it. Was there a moment you felt particularly anxious? What was happening then? What could you try differently next time? This is where the real growth happens.
That's a great reminder, Alex. It's about continuous improvement, not instant perfection. So, to recap for our listeners, acknowledge and observe your anxiety without judgment. Challenge those negative, catastrophic thoughts. Use deep breathing to calm your nervous system. Shift your focus outwards by actively listening and engaging with the other person, and practice in low-stakes situations.
That's the core of it. And remember, the goal isn't to eliminate anxiety entirely, but to learn to manage it so it doesn't stop you from connecting. Every conversation, even the ones that feel a little shaky, brings you closer to becoming a more confident and capable communicator.
It's empowering to know that these fears are not permanent obstacles, but rather signals we can learn to understand and work with.
Indeed. And on that empowering note, we're moving towards the end of our series. Next episode, we'll wrap everything up by looking at the broader impact of these skills, the ripple effect of meaningful connection. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Last time we tackled conversation fears. Now let's review and add advanced strategies.
That's right, Alex. It's episode 13, and we're nearing the end of our series. We've journeyed through understanding conversations, building connections, and managing anxieties. Today is about consolidating that knowledge and adding more tools to our belts.
Absolutely. Let's recap the foundational pillars of great conversation. Remember episode 1? We talked about the spark of connection, recognizing that every interaction is an opportunity to build something meaningful. It's about talking with someone, not just at them.
And that starts with being present and aware. In episode 2, we learned about decoding the invite, reading the room and the person. It's about observing subtle cues and understanding the context. You can't launch into a deep discussion if the mood isn't right.
Precisely. Then we moved on to crafting your opening. We explored those initial lines that can either fall flat or open the door to a richer exchange. It's about making sure it feels natural and relevant.
I recall episode 4, where we tackled elevating small talk. The cue is to look for the hooks, those little details that allow you to transition from superficial pleasantries to more engaging topics. It's about finding common ground and showing genuine interest.
And that ties directly into episode 5, the art of active listening. This isn't just hearing words, it's about truly understanding. Active listening means being fully present, asking clarifying questions, and reflecting back what you're hearing. Remember our analogy of listening like a detective?
Oh, yes. And that detective mindset is fueled by curiosity, which was episode 6. The curiosity compass guides us to ask open-ended questions and genuinely want to know more about the other person's thoughts and experiences. It's the engine that drives connection.
Then, in episode 7, we learned how to unlock depth, transitioning smoothly from small talk to substance. This often involves sharing a relevant anecdote or a thoughtful observation, creating a pathway for a more authentic dialogue.
Episode 8 reminded us that communication isn't one size fits all. Navigating nuance means understanding cultural differences and being mindful of varying communication styles. What's polite in one culture might be perceived differently in another.
And building on that, episode 9 focused on the power of presence and mastering nonverbal communication. Your body language, eye contact, and tone of voice often speak volumes. They can reinforce your message or create a barrier.
We then applied these skills to specific contexts. Episodes 10 and 11 showed us how to build bridges at work and foster local community bonds. It's about adapting your conversational approach to different environments.
And last episode, episode 12, we tackled the anxiety monster. We learned strategies to manage those nerves that can hold us back from initiating or engaging in conversations. It's about reframing those anxious thoughts and building confidence.
So, we've laid a very strong foundation. Now, let's add some advanced strategies to your connectors toolkit. One powerful technique is skillful storytelling. When you share a brief, relevant personal story, you not only make yourself more relatable, but also offer a rich point of connection. Think back to when Alex shared that story about his first camping trip in episode 7. It wasn't just about camping, it was about overcoming a challenge, which resonated with many of us.
Exactly, Lisa. A well-told story, even a short one, can illustrate a point, evoke emotion, and create a memorable experience for the listener. It's about weaving narrative into your conversation. Another key skill is empathetic response. This goes beyond just acknowledging someone's feelings. It's about showing you truly understand and share their emotional state. When someone expresses frustration, you might say, "That sounds incredibly frustrating. I can only imagine how challenging that must have been."
That's a great example. It validates their experience and deepens the connection. It's like saying, I hear you and I'm with you on this. And what about gracefully exiting conversations? Sometimes you need to wrap things up politely without making the other person feel dismissed.
Ah, the art of the graceful exit. This is incredibly useful, especially in networking or social situations. Instead of just drifting away, you can signal your departure with phrases like, "It's been wonderful talking with you, but I should let you go," or "I'm so glad we got to chat about X. I'm going to grab a refreshment, but perhaps we can continue this conversation another time." It's about closing the loop kindly.
So, to recap these advanced tools, skillful storytelling to make yourself relatable and create memorable moments, empathetic responses to truly connect with someone's emotions, and graceful exit strategies to end conversations on a positive note. These build upon our core principles of active listening, genuine curiosity, and mindful presence.
Indeed. Remember, the goal is always to turn a simple exchange into a meaningful connection. These techniques, the foundations we've built, and the advanced strategies we've just discussed are your toolkit. Practice them, adapt them, and watch how your conversations transform. You got this.
Next episode, we'll explore the ripple effect and how sustained, meaningful connections can positively impact all areas of your life.
Welcome back to The Conversation Starter. This is our final episode, number 14, where we explore the ripple effect of sustaining meaningful connections.
It's hard to believe we've reached the end of our series on turning everyday encounters into something more. We've covered so much, from the initial spark of connection to active listening, building rapport, and even navigating anxious moments.
Absolutely, Lisa. And in this last episode, we want to bring it all together. It's not just about starting conversations, it's about nurturing them and allowing those connections to grow and have a lasting impact. Think of it like planting a garden. You start with a seed, nurture it, and if you tend to it, it blossoms and continues to bear fruit. Meaningful connections are similar.
That's a great analogy, Alex. So, how do we ensure these connections don't just fade after that initial good conversation? What's the key to sustaining them?
The first key is consistency. Remember how we talked about the curiosity compass, fueling genuine interest? That compass needs to keep pointing towards the people you've connected with. This means following up, not aggressively, but thoughtfully. A quick message, a shared article, or a brief check-in after some time has passed. It shows you value that connection.
So, it's about revisiting the seeds we've planted. It's not a one and done approach. And I imagine for those who might still have some residual conversation anxiety, this is where those tools we discussed earlier, like presence and active listening, become even more crucial. You're not just relying on witty opening lines anymore.
Exactly. When you follow up, you could draw on existing knowledge. Remember that hobby they mentioned? Or that challenge they were facing? Bringing those details back into the conversation shows you were truly listening. It deepens the trust and makes the interaction feel more personal. It's about moving beyond small talk with intention.
And how do we bridge the gap from these more casual follow-ups to truly deeper connections? We've touched on transitioning from small talk to substance before, but how's that look in the long term?
It's about shared experiences and vulnerability, shared at an appropriate pace. Once a baseline of trust is established, you can begin to share more about your own thoughts, feelings, and even challenges. This isn't about oversharing or burdening someone, but about revealing a bit more of your authentic self, which invites the other person to do the same. Think about the difference between saying, "How was your weekend?" and "I tried that new hiking trail you recommended last weekend. It was challenging but beautiful. How have you been finding time for your own adventures lately?"
That second example is so much richer. It shows you recalled their recommendation and asks a more open-ended, personal question. It invites a more meaningful response. It's like you're weaving a tapestry, thread by thread, with each interaction adding a new color or texture.
Precisely. And as these connections deepen, you start to build a support system. This is the powerful ripple effect we're talking about. These individuals can offer advice, encouragement, and even new opportunities. You become a valuable part of each other's lives, not just acquaintances. And this extends beyond one-on-one interactions. Remember our episodes on community and work connections?
Right.
These sustained connections can strengthen our professional networks, making collaboration smoother and opening doors. They can foster a sense of belonging within our neighborhoods, making our communities more vibrant and supportive.
It's a positive feedback loop.
It truly is. And the benefits aren't just external. For us as individuals, cultivating these meaningful connections boosts our own well-being. It combats loneliness, increases our sense of purpose, and can even improve our resilience in tough times. It's a vital part of a fulfilling life, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's why we started this series. We wanted to empower listeners to move beyond superficial interactions and to really connect with the people around them. It feels like we've come full circle.
We have. We've explored why conversations matter, how to read a room and a person, crafting those opening lines, elevating small talk, the magic of active listening, the power of curiosity, moving to deeper topics, navigating cultural nuances, mastering nonverbal cues, building connections at work and in our communities, conquering conversational fears, and finally, how to sustain all of this.
It's a comprehensive journey, and the core message remains. Meaningful connection is a skill, and like any skill, it improves with practice, intention, and patience. Don't get discouraged if every conversation isn't a profound exchange. Focus on small, consistent efforts.
Think of each episode as a tool in your connector's toolkit. Use them regularly. Don't let your toolkit gather dust. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and the more you'll experience the profound joy and benefit of genuine human connection. The ripple effect of your efforts can truly touch many lives, including your own.
So, our final encouragement to you is to go out there and practice. Be present, be curious, listen deeply, and don't be afraid to be a little vulnerable. The rewards are immense.
On behalf of both Lisa and myself, thank you for joining us on this 14-episode journey with the Conversation Starter. We hope you feel equipped and inspired to make every encounter meaningful.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you.
Thanks for listening to the series.